Today, we're really excited to welcome Emilia Pacia back to Stowe. After finishing here, Emilia went on to study sociology and later law, earning her degrees from the University of York. She now works as a barrister's clerk, a key role in the legal profession that involves managing the practice of barristers and supporting the smooth running of legal cases. Emilia also holds a certificate in ethical artificial intelligence, showing her interest in the growing intersection between law and technology. She's here to share her journey, offer insights into her career, and give advice to any of you thinking about university, law, or simply your next steps after Stowe. And thank you, Emilia. What inspired you to study sociology and then do a law conversion course?
So essentially, when I was thinking about university and which university I wanted to go to, what kind of degree I wanted to do, I already had a thought to go into law, but I wasn't 100% sure. So I had some advice from family, from friends, saying that if you're not sure about doing law, sociology and some modules in criminology are a good way to start. So that's why I went into sociology, and sociology really intersects with law because it teaches you about how society works, how people work, about how important legal rules and structures are. And of course, I had some very interesting criminology modules, which further determined my initiative to pursue a legal degree. So during my second to third last year studying sociology, I decided to do a law conversion. And I was really lucky at the University of York, where I was studying sociology, that they had a very, very good law conversion, which was 2 years instead of the typical 1 year, which allows you more flexibility around studying. And they also put you into what's called student law firms. So essentially you and a few other classmates go into a law firm and you figure out cases and you learn how a law firm works. So it was a very good experience for me doing that particular law degree.
Thank you. Why did you choose the University of York, and what was your experience like there?
So I chose the University of York because I did A levels at history and I absolutely loved history. So I wanted to go into a university that had a lot of history, that had a bit of the city life, but also the kind of lovely countryside life that I experienced at Stowe. So if you drove literally 5 minutes out of York, you had this beautiful countryside. And I also obviously it was a good Russell Group university. I had family friends who went to University of York, so that was why I also went there. And my university of life was slightly different to what other students may experience now, because I started at the end of 2019, just after finishing Stowe in June, and COVID hit in February 2020. So it was a very surreal and different university experience to what others have. So we had essentially, sadly, online exams and we had online lessons for 2 years. But finally, in my third year, we had a normal university life. But looking back on it, I wish I had a normal university experience when I was studying sociology. But thankfully, when I did my law conversion, I had a completely normal university experience, which was much better, including, in-person exams and in-person lessons, which was so much better.
Okay, thank you. As a barrister's clerk, what do you do on a day-to-day?
So on a day-to-day, you negotiate fees with different law firms. You manage the diaries of your barristers. You help them go to court. You prepare court bundles for them. You liaise with clients, with other solicitors firms, with other chambers. You also have to have frequent phone calls with other clerks, other chambers. And what else? There's so much to it. So it's a very fun career, and no day is the same, which is why I really enjoy it. And some people say it's a bit of a mix between the finance world and the law world, because it's all about negotiating fees, arranging contracts, making sure that your barrister has the best fees possible, and that the process of them looking after a case and going to court is as smooth as possible.
Thank you. What skills from your sociology and law degrees do you use in your current job?
So definitely key ski is time management skills and organizational skills, because every day you go to work, you have to make sure that you know what you're doing, you plan out your day really well. And I think doing a law degree and a sociology degree really helped me with that, because even doing a law degree, being put into student law firms, you had to be very organized, and you had to basically run a case and make sure that this day you're doing this task, on another day you're doing something else, and you need to make sure that at the end of the day you've done what you needed to do. But also, I suppose, communication skills, because of liaising with different colleagues in your job, and that's what I learnt when I was doing my law degree, being in the different student law firms, but also just general skills such as being able to work efficiently. Attention to detail is another really key skill. So for your exams and your essays, you had to make sure that was attained. And in my career, you have to make sure that there's high levels of attention to detail, because a tiny mistake, if you, for example, say that a barrister's rate is £600 an hour and it's actually £800 an hour, and the contract goes to the solicitor's firm and the contracts are signed, then you can't really alter that. So it's really important to be efficient and have huge attention to detail.
Okay, thank you. You also have a certificate in ethical artificial intelligence. What drew you to this area, and how does it connect to your legal work?
So, of course, ethical AI is changing, and it's really important. And there's major influences around ChatGPT and things like that. So what drew me is that the Law Society is actually behind this ethical AI certificate, along with the CISI in finance. And for the last few years, the legal profession has been changing, and they have implemented lots of AI technology to help with managing their cases, communicating with clients, communicating with other solicitors and barristers. So I thought that it would be very important for me to do this course, which was essentially 12 hours online, and you did different modules and you did different tests, and it basically gave me a lot of insight into how useful AI can be in the legal world, and how in the future it's going to transcend more and more and change the legal industry as we see it now.
Thank you. What advice would you give to current Stoics who aren't sure about what they want to do after Stowe?
So I believe, especially with students who want to go into the legal profession, there's a few different ways you can go into that. And this is something that I didn't know when I was a student at Stowe, because I thought it was you do a law degree and then you go into a law firm and do your training contract. But since I left Stowe, there's a few different ways you can go into law, which is, one is instead of going to university, you can do a 6-year apprenticeship, which gives you a legal LLB law degree alongside doing SQE exams to become a solicitor. So that's one really good route. And it's good because it gives you not only a degree and the opportunity to become a solicitor, but as well as that, it also gives you lots of good work experience in a law firm, and it basically builds up your case, and it shows to other solicitors how you really want to become a solicitor, and it's really good. Another route you can do is you can do a law degree at university, which is great, which is what I did, and then you can do a law conversion like me, and they're usually 1 year or 2 years. But then after, if you don't want to do the traditional application route of applying for a training contract, you can apply for what's called a graduate solicitor apprenticeship, which is essentially going into a law firm for 2 to 3 years. Every law firm does it differently, and you work for your SQE exams, and you also at the same time work and gain practical experience in a law firm, and at the end of it you become a solicitor. So that's another good thing. And I would also say for people who aren't sure if they want to become a solicitor or a barrister, to not worry about having to do a law degree. You can always go and do a different degree, whatever it is, history, English, sociology, like I did, and then you can convert to law. And especially for students, for example, who are scared that they might not have the A levels needed to become a lawyer and to gain a degree at university, this is a good route, because when you do an initial degree, you can easily gain a 2-1 or a first and be able to do the law conversion, because I know that some universities from A levels require you to have 3 A stars or minimum 3 A's, and not everyone can achieve that. So a way into law without having those grades is doing a different degree and then converting into law, because it's much easier to do that. And I would also very much I'd love to put forward the fact that students should do as many work experience placements as possible, especially in the legal sector, if they want to potentially become a solicitor or a barrister. Gain as much experience as you can. Find out from family, friends if they have any placements available during the summer. Find out from the careers network at Stowe if there's any opportunities. And even sometimes, and this goes a long way, which I've realised in my chambers at the moment, is students still at school writing to the chambers and saying that they're interested in becoming a barrister or solicitor, and attaching their CV and a short 1 or 2 paragraphs about them, and asking if they can have a couple of days shadowing a barrister, and very often that works. So I would even encourage you to go the extra mile and to write an email or call up a solicitor's law firm or barrister's chambers and ask if they have any days available for you to come and work. And I think that's key. But another thing I would say is definitely research what it is you want to do. For example, with law, research all the different paths that you can do to get into law, and find out which path works best for you. And also have an idea of what type of law you want to do. Although you don't need to strictly know for certain what type of law you want to do, because you still have lots of time, and doing a training contract or a solicitor graduate apprenticeship or a solicitor apprenticeship at a law firm, you do rotations in different types of law. So that gives you an insight into what type of law you may like. And then at the end of it, you can decide which law you want to go into. So there's no rush or hurry to definitely know now what type of law you want to do, but it's good to have an idea beforehand. And ultimately, do not be scared of careers, because you still have lots of time ahead of you to research and to talk with other people. And one thing that really worked for me at university was talking to my career advisor, and he was very helpful with highlighting different law firms that are good to apply to, the timelines for applying, and things like that. And also make sure that you start working on your CV even before you go to university or at university. And that's one thing that my career advisor at university really helped me with, was my CV. I sent it to him back and forth for a month or so, and then I had a perfect CV, and that's really important. And another thing, especially for students at Stowe who would like to pursue a career in law, I would also advise, once you are doing applications, to, instead of writing lots of applications to lots of law firms, 50, 60, like I did, it's better to write and send applications to maybe 20 or 30 firms that you're really interested in, and tailor your applications well, because very often if you send an application to lots of firms, you can make little tiny errors and your application can be very broad. But law firms particularly like your applications to be tailored and to say lots about you, and to also show what extracurricular activities you're interested in, what volunteering you've done. They like a well-rounded person, so it's important to tailor each application to the law firm and to show yourself fully and what you're capable of and what type of person you are, because at the end of the day they really like personality. They don't just want somebody who has perfect grades and has had some work experience. They want somebody who has hobbies, has done this, has done work experience, has done volunteering, has been traveling, whatever it is.
Thank you. What are some misconceptions young people may have about the legal profession?
Sorry, I didn't hear you there. Could you repeat that question, please?
What are some misconceptions young people may have about the legal profession?
So that's a very good question. Some misconceptions may be that you have to work really long hours and you don't have a social life. You can't go home at a reasonable hour and be able to see your family, friends, and have a nice evening. But that's not true. In the bigger law firms, the Magic Circle law firms, that may be true that you have to spend long hours, but lots of mid-sized law firms and small law firms, you can still finish by 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, whatever it is, and still have a good social life and not be very tired for work. So I think that's a big one. Yes, I'd say that's the biggest one, I think.
Okay. How do you see the relationship between law and technology evolving in the future?
Sorry, I didn't hear you there again. Could you repeat that, please?
How do you see the relationship between law and technology evolving in the future?
So I think it will evolve a lot more than it is currently. I mean, already we have lots of legal databases and implementations that do lots of work for us. For example, we have case management systems that already implement a case, and if you type in a few details about the barrister or what the case is called, it can generate a contract for you that you just have to edit. But I think if it's already at that stage, it will change even more in the future. But I think a common misconception with that is that in future there'll be robots doing lawyers' jobs for them. I don't think it will go to that, because ultimately the legal career is a career where you have to build personal relationships with clients, with other solicitors, with other barristers. But I think it's evolving, and from my perspective in my career, it has really helped the legal profession, and it has helped with those mundane little tasks that take a long time so that you can focus on other more important tasks, which is really good.
Thank you. Are there any subjects or skills that you think are especially important for students thinking about law?
So definitely communication is a very key skill, because you have to liaise and communicate with other solicitors, clients, barristers. Another key skill is definitely time management and organizational skills, especially if you want to be a barrister, for example, because ultimately you're self-employed and you have to work on your own cases, and you might have 5, 10 cases happening all at once, and a hearing here, a trial here, and you have to make sure that you manage your diary really well and you know what you're doing and that you meet different deadlines. So I think time management and organizational skills are really important as well. Another key skill I've mentioned before is definitely attention to detail, because in the legal world, a tiny mistake can lead to so many further issues. So you have to make sure that whatever work you send, whatever you do, whether it's writing up a contract, you have to make sure that the little details are correct, because it can lead to awful mistakes. And yes, I think those 3 key skills are the most important for students at Stowe who'd like to go into the legal industry.
Okay, thank you. That was my last question.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me.